Well, hello there. How are you? Come on in, have a seat. Not on the porch tonight. And, there's a reason for it. It's certainly not that it's too hot, because the temperature has finally become comfortable out there. It's that I'm not comfortable out there. My back's been paining me significantly, and it may be that I squirm and twist and writhe a little during the course of this video. I hope that you will forgive me. A friend of my wife's and of mine has stopped by her store this last week and brought a present for me, which is very kind. Consistent with his nature. He's a kind man. And made me promise that I wouldn't open it until I was on camera. Well, I'm on camera now. And here's the package. Yep, that's Sir Walter, which is great because I like Sir Walter. And if you like Burley, you'll like Sir Walter too. It ain't what it used to was. I mean, once upon a time it was made by Brown and Williamson, and then Brown and Williamson ceased to exist, and it became the property of British American Tobacco. And they had no interest in the pipe tobacco business, so they sold it off. Well, the buyer of this storied brand was Lane Limited. So far, so good. They make some very nice things. But Sir Walter doesn't taste the way that he used to. The leaf doesn't look like it used to. It's still good, but it ain't what it used to was. And neither am I. Inside the package, I can see, but I want you to see too. I'm pretty well pleased. Inside this package is a cane stem that has been handmade. It's carved at the end to make a button, and it's had a piece of wire put through it to open it up, and then it's been sanded and hardened further by smoking. Yay. And here is the prize. This is a clay pipe bowl. Look at there. That's a mark of how old it is. Also, I can tell you from the shape, from the mold that was used, that this one's pretty old. And we had at one time a selection of pipes from Pamplin, Virginia. That's up in Appomattox County. And they had a clay pipe factory up yonder, and it burnt to the ground, as clay anything is so often to do. And pot diggers are still finding clumps of clay pipes buried in the soil around there. Now this isn't one of those, although it is made from kaolin clay. Now when we made pipes locally here in East Tennessee, they were made predominantly from red clay. This might be local, or it might be trade goods, but either way, it looks a good bit like what they were doing in the early to mid 19th century. So 1800 to about 1850, maybe. It's certainly the right style and shape and size. And I am proud to have that. I'm going to put it together with its stem and test the draw. It's a good draw. And Phil, thank you a lot. I'm really going to enjoy smoking this. A lot of people have not yet discovered the particular joys of a clay pipe. It is unlike smoking a briar, and it is unlike smoking a meerschaum, and it is unlike smoking a cob. It is its very own thing. Now, my great-great-grandmother, God rest her, she lived to age 98, and she smoked one of these. Hers was red clay. She had an old red clay pipe with a cane stem. And in her pinafore pocket, do you know what a pinafore is? It's one of those aprons with pockets in the front, and it covers the whole front of one's dress, one's gown, and here's Kitty. And she would keep her pipe and her tobacco there. And at the end of her workday, she would break off a piece of the twist and grind it into dust, basically, and fill her pipe with it and sit and smoke it. And, but only once a day. I'm thinking, with tobacco that strong, about once a day is all that a body would need to smoke. But we smoke milder tobacco today, and we smoke better tasting tobacco today. The most of us. I was asked earlier today if there were tobaccos that I had found that I really disliked. And yes, I've found a couple that let's put it this way. I have found that there are tobaccos that I do not enjoy. Those include lake country tobaccos. If you enjoy them, fine. De gustibus non est disputandum, you know. There's matters of taste are not matters for dispute. And then there are tobaccos that I profoundly dislike. And mostly those are gummy sweet aromatics. I'm not above smoking aromatics. I think that anyone who thinks he is above smoking aromatics is a bit of a fool. He may not like them, but he's not above them. Once again, chacun a son goût, each to his own taste. And then there are two tobaccos I absolutely hate. Some years ago, about 30 years ago, I had bought, because of its curious packaging, a paper tube, brown paper tube of tobacco. And it was printed in 19th century letters. I mean, it was a really old-fashioned package. I thought, this will be interesting. And it said that it was good for pipe or chew. It was none other than Five Brothers. Five Brothers. I think it mostly consisted of their old socks and union suits. It was the most wretched thing. Horrible. I took a puff or two. I emptied my pipe. And I actually apologized to the pipe. I am not one to speak over much to inanimate or exanimate, in this case, objects. But I felt that my pipe deserved an apology for that. It was horrible. Really horrible. Now, the brand has since changed hands, and it's being produced by Scandinavian Tobacco Group in Denmark. Is it better? I will never know. The other tobacco that I cannot force myself to smoke anymore is Mixture 79, because it tastes like cashmere bouquet soap, or so I imagine. It smells like cashmere bouquet soap, which is not an unpleasant smell at all. I don't mean to offend the nice people at the company that makes cashmere bouquet. That tobacco, I don't know what they're flavoring it with. Soap, perhaps. It tastes what I imagine cashmere bouquet soap would taste like if I were getting my mouth washed out violently. Blah. I once smoked an entire package of it. At the time, I was finishing up my education at St. Dunstan's Orthodox Priory in Malden, Massachusetts. And it has since closed. It was very small. There was a prior and two other fathers there. And Benedictine monks are not addressed as brother when they're fully professed. They are addressed as father. And I was allowed to smoke my pipe as a postulant and as a novice. That was kind of them. I took great solace in it, as one does. Within walking distance was a drugstore. I had run out of pipe tobacco. The prior noticed and said, "Why are you not smoking your pipe?" And I said, "Father, I have run out of pipe tobacco." And he said, "Oh, here is a little money." And he gave me a piece of money. And he said, "Go down to the drugstore and buy yourself some pipe tobacco." "Thank you, Father." And I did so immediately, because I was told to. And there I go, walking downhill to the drugstore, and I walk in the door. And I ask if they have any pipe tobacco, and they say, "Yes, Father." And I, and correct them. Because what good would that have done? And I said, "I'll take it." And they said, "Thank you." And I said, "Thank you." And it was package of mixture number 79. I had never had it before in my life, and I have not since. So I get back to the priory, and the time between supper and Compline comes. Compline is the prayers at the end of the day. And in that time, was one of the times I was allowed to smoke my pipe, have a little free time. And so I went outside and onto the porch, and I unfolded the package, and I smelled it, and it seemed curious to me, but full of monastic zeal, I filled my pipe up. What a curious thing to say. And put it in my mouth, and I lit it, and it didn't taste good. But it's the tobacco I had. And it was purchased for me by my superior. And so I smoked it with as much gratitude as I could muster. I finished the bowl full. I emptied the pipe. And I went back inside and took the pipe up to my cell, my room, and I put it on top of the chest of drawers, and I went back downstairs to join the others. And presently it was time for Compline, and we sang the prayers, and then of course the silence had begun, so I went up to my room and I retired. The next morning, after matins and lauds, which two offices were said together, the prior asks me, "What was that pipe tobacco you were smoking?" And I said, "Father, it's mixture 79. It was the only kind they had at the drugstore." And he said, "What do you ordinarily smoke?" And I said, at the time, it was Captain Black Gold. And he said, "I see. Write it down on the grocery list." "Yes, Father." He couldn't stand the smell of it either. I think that's probably enough of story. Now you know a bit more about me than you did before. And I'm not loath to tell you. It had just never come up before. Well, anyway, thanks for watching. Good night.